Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Event Crowd Success Stories podcast. I'm joined today by one of our fantastic alumni, Matt Blumberg. Matt, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
Brilliant. So, Matt, I'm really excited to talk to you today. I've heard some really good things from our enrolment team and also our student support team about your journey and what you're currently doing in the events industry. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me your journey, what you've kind of done, and the journey up to kind of coming to Event Crowd.
Okay, yeah. So I was a primary school teacher about 11 years ago, and I sort of fell into events accidentally. My cousin sort of suggested that we had to go up putting on a few little events in our local town. So we started a little business between the two of us. Did after dinner events for footballers originally, and I'm actually a musician as well. I've played in a lot of bands and stuff over the years, so I always had a sort of a joking idea, joke like a bit of an idea to put on an event called Glastonberry, and we tried it. We tried it in our local theatre, and the response was amazing. We sold out really quickly, and then we moved it to an outdoor venue the year after, but both still working full time at the time, and it was still a bit of a laugh and a bit of a sort of joke. And it just took off really. We went from 500 capacity to 1,000 the year after, and then 2,000 the year after that, and just started to get bigger and bigger to the point where we both considered leaving our jobs and doing this full time, which we did. We run a number of other events with footballers and after dinner events, and tried loads of different things, all sorts of things over the years. And as the festival grew, we brought in a lot of sort of professional help, event management companies and health and safety advisors and things like that. And it's sort of grown naturally. But over the years as well, I've gone back and qualified in health and safety. Got IOSH in health and safety management, and did a level 5 crowd control management course, and then I did my event crowd um, event qualification, and it's got to the point where I sort of run the event myself now without sort of external help. We've got a couple of people helping, but I've built my own team of friends and family in this sort of work and myself, and it works really well. And over the years, I've sort of developed my own sort of knowledge, and the course with you guys was great, sort of filled the gaps, and yeah, it's been a real journey.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear that we've managed to sort of help fill those gaps in knowledge, and also that you've managed to kind of do all of that yourself. For our listeners, because I'm absolutely obsessed with the concept. By the way, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Can you explain to our listeners what the concept of Glastonbury is?
Yeah, so Glastonbarry is a tribute festival. So it's 22 tribute acts over one weekend. Um, and obviously the name sort of is a bit of an homage to the Glastonbury Festival and a bit of a laugh. We don't take it too seriously. It's a really friendly, fun atmosphere. We started off like that, and now we actually run a Glastonbury Juniors event as well on the Friday. So it's over
Okay.
one weekend in July. We do a Juniors event on the Friday where we have tribute acts to Taylor Swift and George Ezra, and so it's more child based, and there's lots of fun fair rides and things like that go on, workshops. And then on the Saturday and Sunday, it's more established older bands, Queen, ABBA, that sort of thing. And to be honest, it's aimed at a bit of an older crowd. Our event, we
Mm.
get people of all ages there, but it's an over 18s event, the
Mhm.
Glastonbury weekend, and I'd say the majority of our customers are 40 to 60, and it's a nice environment, really fun, really friendly, and yeah, just a bit of fun really, and it's great for our town. That was the original ambition, was to put
Mm.
something good on in our local town. So yeah, it's got to a point where it's we're about 6,500 capacity now over three
Wow.
days. So yeah, it's grown a lot.
So what year was your first year then? What year was that where you had the 500 capacity?
It's,
And so did you say it was indoor first and then it became an outdoor event as well?
that's it. Yeah, it was in our local theatre the first year, which was a capacity of about 600,
Okay.
which we sold out. And then the next year, we actually took a drop in capacity because we ran it on a temporary event notice. So it was a 500 capacity, 499, the first year in the park. And then we grew it from there. it went up to about 1,000, I think, then 2,000. It was at about 2,500, 3,000 per day. About 4 years in, when we sort of took the plunge and left our jobs,
Wow.
and then myself and my cousin ran the business up until COVID in 2019.
Yeah.
Things were going really, really well up until then.
Yeah.
And then things took a bit of a nosedive at that point,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And then Ross, my cousin, left during COVID, took his family down to West Wales and started a new career.
Okay.
And I took it on my own from that point on. And the 2022 event was quite difficult. The first year back after COVID, bit of a struggle. But then this last summer, July 2023, was great. It went really well. We're back on track, and things are looking great. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh, mate,
It
that's
looks
so good
good.
to hear. No, that's really good to hear that you now find yourself in a really good place. So that
Yeah.
journey must have been incredible, going from an inside event in a theatre where I'm assuming it was auditorium with the acts on stage, to then turn that into an outdoor event one year, and then the next year to go from a temporary event notice 499 up to a proper, like, real outdoor event. That it must have been a huge learning curve.
Oh, it was very steep learning curve.
Yeah,
Lots of mistakes on the way,
of course,
and lots
always.
of tough lessons.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. It was great. We learned a lot as we went along. Brought in some great people who worked with us along the way. And it's crazy how it happened. It was a real sort of shock, to be honest. We didn't expect it ever to
yeah.
grow as much as it did, but we worked hard on it, and really pushed it, and it's sort of paid off. The hard work's paid off, and it's done really well. I'm very proud of it now. It's a real asset to our local community. Brings in a lot of money to
Brilliant.
the local town.
Which is
So
exactly what you wanted. Yeah.
yeah.
Brilliant. No, that's really good to hear. Well, so obviously you as an individual, extremely entrepreneurial. From what we're gathering from this conversation, do you feel like that's something that's common in events people? Do you think there's a natural bit of entrepreneurial spirit within certain events people?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to have the ability to just get your head down and get stuck into a task, really, to
Yeah.
succeed in events, because things do go wrong. There's lots of hurdles to overcome. So yeah, I think a lot of people, it's sort of an industrious attitude, happy to work hard, get their hands dirty. They're the people I've come across quite a lot. I've started freelancing at other events and things now. I've sort of mixed with
Oh,
quite
okay,
a lot of
cool.
people who are in the industry. Yeah, and I find the best people are those people who roll up their sleeves and get stuck in,
Yeah.
and make things happen.
Yeah, completely agree. And it's also those people who, it's not about making mistakes, it's about how you deal with them. I think
Yeah, definitely.
completely, like a good events professional, when you're on site, if you do something and you make a mistake, it's all about how you deal with it, isn't it? It's about how you go, right, I've messed this up. How do I deal with this in the calmest and best way possible and find the best solution and not lose my head?
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. And the planning, I think, planning
Yeah,
contingencies, and sort of having a plan B, that's really important. That's something I've learned over the years. Ultimately, at my festival, like I've worked on much bigger events now, and I find it much easier working on someone else's event where my neck is, your neck's always
I
on
get
the
you.
on the
Yeah,
block, really. But with our own festival, the buck stops with me. There's no one to
yeah,
turn to, so I've got to make sure that everything is spot on. And that's why the planning process, like, I bring my team together, we sit down and we rip through the whole festival. What could go wrong? How could that affect us? If they don't turn up, what are we going to do? If these people don't turn up, and we do try and plan all of that out. And you can't account for everything. Things always
no,
happen
yeah,
where you didn't foresee it. But yeah, that's a real integral part of the whole process. I think is looking at what could go wrong and how you're going to deal with it in advance, and also from a financial point of view, having a bit of a budget for that as well, where you're like,
yeah.
things are probably going to go wrong. Let's put some money aside just to make sure we can cover it if it does happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. The planning that you do in advance makes such a difference, and I think in those situations where something happens that you couldn't foresee, just having a complete 360-degree understanding of the event generally means that you'll be well equipped to make the right decision if something comes up, doesn't it? If you're not,
Yeah,
if it's not
definitely.
something you've thought about or prepared for. Okay, cool. So in terms of then event crowds and where we come in, whenabouts did you enroll with us?
It was only last year. It was
Okay.
beginning of last year. So up until that point, I've always sort of employed an event management company. 2022 was the last time we did, and it was just after my event in 2022, around September time that I enrolled with you guys. And then July 23 last year was the first event where we were sort of on our own. You know, I'd put my own team together, friends and
Mm.
family, and we did it all from scratch ourselves. And I've got to say, you know, touch wood, but it went really well. It was great. It was having complete control of everything. I felt a bit more. Um, I felt better actually than relying on other people and hoping they'd done it.
Yeah.
I knew for sure that things were ticked off the list and things had been covered, and it sort of gave me a bit more peace of mind, to be honest.
No, fair enough. I
So,
completely understand that, and I think you're probably in quite a similar boat to some of our other students who have their own events, either single events, whether it's a festival, or people who have their own agencies or companies that come to us wanting genuinely something quite similar. And it's interesting because I guess because you know the full cycle of your event, the way our kind of, you'll know this obviously having completed it, the way that our course is set up, where it's like you go through an event from start to finish and cover absolutely everything. It kind of links quite well there. Going forwards then, looking towards next year, have you got any plans to, are you going to go with that model again of using friends and family, and then are you going to look to grow the event, or do you kind of feel like you've got it at a place where it's now perfect capacity, perfect kind of where you want it to be?
yeah, we're definitely going to use the same team again.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like a sort of we've tried over the years to sort of build that perfect team,
Mm.
and last year it did feel like we finally cracked it. You know, we had a really good group of people across the board. Everyone worked together really well. So hopefully, going forward, we can build on that now and keep the same sort of structure. In terms of growing the event, we're at the point of outgrowing the park where it takes place at the moment.
Okay.
So we can't go too much bigger in terms of the capacity there. But there is like the option to move it to a different site and make it bigger in the future. But at the moment, that's not really on the cards for me as it stands.
Mm.
To be honest, the last few years with COVID and things has been a real struggle. So
Yeah.
I'm just quite happy to ride it out now and have a couple of good years, get a few good years under our belt, and hopefully sort of fine tune everything. The suppliers we use, you know, every year you sort of work with a different group of suppliers and you fine tune the ones who are really,
Yeah.
great and fit in well. And then different like we've used the same big top company for the last few years. They've been great, but unfortunately
Cool.
they're just too busy. They're too stretched. We're
Yeah.
outside of their usual remit, and they've said they can't do it this year, so we've had to bring in a different company for that. So things come up inevitably, and things change, and then you sort of working with new suppliers who you haven't worked with before, and you're not sure they're going to operate. So
Yeah.
things do inevitably change. But
Mm.
in terms of like the future of the festival, yeah, it's quite established on the local calendar now. Most of the people around this area know this taking place, and it's become like it's almost like a get together for the locals. You know, everyone sort of looks forward to it, puts it in the diary. So yeah, just keen to have a few good years after the
Yeah.
turbulence of the last few years, to be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely fair enough. Yeah, yeah, you do sort of build those relationships, don't you, with people year on year and suppliers. But absolutely, hats off to you what you've been able to build, and it's something so unique and it's something so special. And genuinely, it's those events that go on and stand the test of time. Really, the ones that attract a very specific crowd and have a very specific kind of vibe that they go for, that go on to do really well and stand the test of time. So massive hats off to you. What you've been able to build is incredible, especially over the last kind of few years that the industry's had and the struggles it's been through. Yeah, massive hats off to you for that.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
So whereabouts are you at now then? Because we're coming towards the end of April at the moment. So obviously the event's in July. So what stage are you currently at?
We're just looking at our build schedule at the
Yeah,
moment. So we've sort of secured all our suppliers, been meeting a lot of them and just fine tuning all the nitty gritty of stuff, the amount of toilets and bits and bobs, looking at the capacity. But luckily, it's quite similar to last year, so there's not a huge amount of difference in what we're looking at. There's a couple of suppliers who can't do it again, and it's sourcing those bits and bobs. We've done all of that now. So the next part is to schedule it all in and look at how we're actually going to deliver it. Tickets are going reasonably well, but we've still got a bit of a push on those and the marketing side of things. But yeah, it's fallen into all the way through the year from August. Literally, as soon as we finish, we've sort of got a sort of rigid structure now that we try and stick to. Selling sponsorship and securing funding at the beginning of the year and getting the lineup and launching the event, and then a lot of marketing and that side of things, and then in the background all the sort of the nitty gritty of getting everything booked and working with all the suppliers and fine tuning all of that side. But yeah, we're not far off sort of signing off all the suppliers and stuff. We're very close to that. Just putting in our like writing up our run sheets and things like that, so we know what we got to do each day and all that side of things. So yeah.
How long's your build?
We begin on the Monday before the event, and then we open on the Friday.
Okay, so 4 days.
It's not. Yeah. There's a lot of sort of prepping before that, so making sure everything's ready to get down there. And but we got a great crew, and again, the boys on the crew, most of them have worked for us now for most of the last 10 years. So everyone knows where everything goes and where we're putting everything. We fine tuned slightly the site plan, but it's pretty much over the last 4 or 5 years has been pretty similar. And yeah, there's a pretty rigid structure to the way things go in and stuff. We obviously the difficult thing with us is we're in a public park, so we need to secure the perimeter of the site first to stop anyone wandering in while we're building. But yeah, it's pretty quick, and then the takedown is quite impressive. We're usually out by the following Wednesday.
Oh, fair.
So it's 2 days, everything's out. Whip it all out by the Tuesday night, and have a bit of a clean up, and then hopefully by the Wednesday we're out of there.
Yeah, nice. That's a good schedule. The break is just like that, isn't it? It's just everything comes down incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. Well, look. Would you mind telling the audience, if anyone's interested, if anyone lives in sort of Barry or in the surrounding areas or in sort of South Wales, where can they get tickets and when will the event be?
Yeah, well, actually, it's quite surprising where we sell tickets. We sell tickets all over the UK and even beyond. We've had a group come down from Germany every year, and the group gets bigger. We sold tickets in Australia and Canada. Wow. It's crazy. I don't know how people hear about it. But,
that's brilliant.
So GlastonBARRY.com is the website. There's a few videos and things on there. Have a look, and you can see on this. There's pictures from where we started and where we are now. It's crazy the difference. Well, actually, we use one of the tents now as a VIP tent.
Okay.
And that used to house the whole event in the first year.
Oh wow!
So the VIP tent had the stage at one end, the bar at the other, and then a couple of toilets outside. And that was literally it. And at the time we thought that was a big project, and it's just it's been dwarfed now by where we are at the moment. It's crazy, but it's amazing. It's great fun. I really enjoy the events world. It's good, and as I said earlier, I've branched out into working in other people's events and things now, and it's great fun. It's a good industry, lots of great people involved.
Completely agree, mate. Fantastic industry, and to go and do what you've done, obviously, like an incredible challenge to be an entrepreneur in the events industry and to set up your own event in this day and age. But as you've kind of said there, like it's also incredibly rewarding. So again, a massive hats off to you. And look, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to me. It's been really good to kind of talk about your story. As I said, I was really excited to talk to you about. I'm really excited to do this one. So thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for coming on, Matt. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks very much for having me. Cheers.
No problem.